Cole Maddox had survived cattle stampedes, bar fights, and one especially vengeful chicken, but nothing prepared him for the sight of a shadow stretching across half his ranch like a walking thundercloud. He squinted into the dusk, wondering if the desert heat had finally cooked his brain into something resembling scrambled eggs. But no, whatever was coming down that ridge was real, tall enough to make the horizon nervous. Cole braced himself, because in the Wild West, anything that big was either trouble, a miracle, or, knowing his luck, both at the same time. He was a man who liked silence, preferred quiet evenings, and considered drama something that happened to other people. Unfortunately, the frontier had a terrible sense of humor. The shadow moved again, slower this time, like it wanted him to know it wasn't in a hurry. A large figure stepped into the red glow of the sunset, and Cole's jaw nearly hit the dirt. It was a girl, well, technically a woman, but built like the kind of person you'd ask for help moving an entire barn. She towered over the brush with muscles that suggested she could lift a cow and then lecture it about behaving. Cole stayed still, reminding himself that sudden movements were for rabbits and idiots. The girl approached with an expression that said she feared nothing except maybe boredom, and she clearly wasn't about to let boredom win today. When she stopped a few feet in front of him, Cole had to tilt his head back just to see her eyes. They were sharp, focused, and carried the same energy as someone who had climbed a mountain just to tell it wasn't tall enough. For a moment, neither spoke. Cole considered his words carefully. It seemed unwise to start any sentence that might be mistaken for a threat. Before he could decide on a safe greeting, she beat him to it. Her voice came out deep, confident, and so blunt that it cracked open the silence like a hammer hitting stone. "You going to have sex with me?" she said flatly, as if she were asking whether he had an extra shovel. Cole choked on nothing, air suddenly the most difficult thing he'd ever tried swallowing. Of all the sentences he expected to hear at sundown, that one wasn't even on the list. He managed a sound that might have been a question, a protest, or possibly a dying animal. The girl raised an eyebrow, unimpressed, like she'd been expecting a better reaction or at least one involving real words. Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding," he finally croaked, wishing he could borrow just 1 ounce of the confidence she carried so casually. "No misunderstanding." She crossed her arms, which only made her look larger. "It is test." "A test," Cole repeated, praying this wasn't the kind of test where failure ended with him becoming a decorative stain in the dirt. "What kind of test?" She studied him as if deciding whether he was worth explaining anything to. After a long moment, she nodded. "Elder of my tribe says world outside is full of men with no honor. Says I must find one who has honor. See how he reacts when challenged." Her mouth twitched slightly. "You reacted funny." Cole wasn't sure which part offended him more, the implication he was part of a test or the fact his reaction had been graded as funny. He cleared his throat, trying to regain some dignity. "Well, anyone would react funny if you just walk up and say something like that." "No," she replied with absolute certainty. "I have said this to 4 men today. 3 ran away screaming. 1 fell off horse." Cole blinked. "And I'm the normal one." "You are least strange," she decided. "Maybe honorable." Still watching. He wasn't sure whether to feel flattered or concerned. Possibly both. The girl finally introduced herself. Takani of the Red Mesa Apache. Daughter of a lineage known for height, strength, and, for reasons unclear, terrifying social experiments. She said her people were watching settlers closely, deciding which ones threatened their lands and which ones simply wanted to live without starting trouble. Cole relaxed slightly at that. He had no desire to be anyone's enemy, especially not someone who could probably use him as a fence post. Takani walked around him in a slow circle, still evaluating him. Cole resisted the urge to turn with her like a confused dog. She paused beside his horse, Dusty, who gave her a look expressing the exact same panic Cole was feeling. Dusty was not known for bravery. He once refused to cross a puddle because it felt suspicious. Takani knelt and patted Dusty's neck gently, and the horse immediately melted into a love-struck puddle of loyalty. Cole watched this betrayal with deep offense. "He's never liked anyone that fast," he muttered. "Animals no heart of person," Takani said calmly. "Your horse trusts you. That is why I am here." Cole was about to ask what that meant, but the air shifted, and Takani's expression sharpened. She looked toward the distant hills, her posture going alert. Cole knew that stance. Someone had heard something he hadn't. He felt the wind change, carrying the faint thud of approaching hooves. "Too many hooves. Bandits," she said simply. 5, maybe 6. Cole's stomach tightened. The local gang, the Cross Ridge Boys, had been circling his ranch for weeks, waiting for a moment when he let his guard slip. Takani stepped forward, positioning herself between Cole and the direction of the incoming riders, a protective stance that surprised him. You fight? She asked without looking back. I try not to, Cole admitted. But if they're coming to take my land, I don't have much choice. Good answer. She cracked her knuckles, each pop sounding like distant gunfire. Stay behind me. Behind you. Cole sputtered. You're not, well, you are very capable looking, but I don't hide behind people. You do today, she said, and her tone left no room for argument. The bandits grew louder, their silhouettes forming along the ridge. Cole drew his rifle, though he suspected Takani alone could probably toss the entire gang into next week. He tried not to think about the absurdity of the situation, being defended by a giant Apache girl who had greeted him with the most alarming sentence of his life. Yet strangely, he trusted her. The riders closed in. Takani's stance lowered, ready. Cole steadied his breathing, preparing for the fight. The tension stretched tight as a whipcord. And then, right before the first bandit reached shouting distance, Takani grinned, a fierce, excited grin that told Cole she had been waiting for this moment all day. Your test, she said. Now we see your real honor. Cole swallowed, nodded, and lifted his rifle. Whatever happened next, he knew his life had just taken a turn he would never fully understand, but one he couldn't walk away from.